Today, we're going to be reading Arte Cabalistica and looking deeper at the Shem angels. And also, we're going to continue our Geomantic series. So, welcome. This is the third installment of the Esoteric Coffee Hour, in which I get on here Monday through Friday, is the plan, and I basically rant about magic for about an hour. Now, there is a structure to this. We're going to dive deeper and deeper into the Shem angels. So you should get something out of watching a video. Beyond just mere entertainment. You should get something out of watching a video. Well, from watching these videos, you should be able to give yourself geomantic readings. And each video you watch, you should have a deeper understanding of the 72 angels of the Shem Ha-Mephoresh. So these are 72 angels that are used in magic. Okay. They're often compared or contrasted with, but totally different from the 72 demons of the Ars Goetia. They're 72 angels. Now, these two groups of spirits are totally unrelated outside of Dr. Rudd's method. But, yeah. Dang. Bless me, I guess doing, hours of video every day is gonna come up. So, the 72 angels of the Shem Ha-Mephoresh. You know, part of the reason that I do these videos, like, I'm not getting paid for it. Like, why do I do this? I do this because I see that these entities, whatever you want to consider them, have transformed my life. Like, they've changed my life in a great number of ways. And I find that it's transformative. And then also, looking at other people that have worked with the 72 Shem angels, their experiences seem to be transformative. So I want to be able to share this with people, okay, so that other people can start working with the 72 Shem angels and get the blockages in our lives removed. You know, just yesterday someone messaged me and they're like, well, what should I ask for? Well, my response was your deepest desires. Your deepest, what is closest to your heart that you really want in your life? I mean, it can't hurt to try. I'd recommend it, you know. What do you want at your core, the core of your being? What are your deepest desires for this life? And it's amazing, the idea that you can call up an angel, tell it what you want, and then your life begins to change. It's actually really amazing. Now, is this just a superstition? I don't think so. I think it's, I think there's definitely something to it. My experiences tell me that there's definitely something to all this. But even looking at this from more of like a mentalist model, you know, let's say that it's all in your head, which I don't believe. Let's say that it is. You know, I get a lot into hypnosis, and I've gotten into hypnosis for many years. Since I was a kid, really. And this idea of, like, the suggestion. I don't know, spirit magic is so ancient. You know, the spirit model of magic is so ancient. Like, people have been working with entities, whether these beings are real, outside of us, externally objective, okay? Or whether these are like things that we create. Either way, like spirit magic goes to like prehistory. Okay, people are working with the goddess of a river or deity of the god of the sun, or they're working with some type of spirit, some type of thing that is called and petitioned. Okay, you even see this today in like the Catholic Church, people petitioning saints, or like it's everywhere, you know. It is just universal. And people that live without religion, people that live without spiritual practices, people that live in a totally like postmodern, materialistic and atheistic view of the world, those people have no recourse, like there's no one to petition. Now, is that a loss or a gain? So now we're getting into things like values and what is important, and that really varies from person to person. But I follow the magical path. I follow like working with spirits and having experiences. And I found it to be very transformative in my life. Now, there's a lot of bunk going on the internet about the Shem angels. You know how I am. I say it like it is. Yeah, there's a bunch of people listening. You know, I say it like it is. You're here watching my show. I'm going to give my opinion. There's a bunch of bunk out there. A bunch of people just making stuff up, which is fine for your own individual practice. But it's important that people understand the history and the lore. What is the historical lore of the 72 Shem angels, or angels of the Shem HaMepharesh? What is the historical lore? Okay, so this is important. We're going to understand what were they saying about the Shem angels in the 16th century. Now, it is interesting, actually, I'd like to read another passage for you. I'd have to get it, though. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to read this other passage. Now, this should be considered suggestive more than anything, because these are not referred to as Shem angels. They're not tied to the 72-fold divine name, but there are 72 angels that are associated with like constellations and stuff. 72 angels that are mentioned in the third book of Enoch. So let's take a look at what this text says. They're under Rahatiel. Okay, so let me pull this up, because it's 72 angels and it's astrological. So let's actually go to this early source. Okay, give me just a second. Bear with me, y'all. All right, here we go. I had a little bit of a late start this morning. It's not my fault. You may notice the video quality is a little bit grainier or something. It's because what I normally use is, I'm having some technical difficulties. So that's why I'm a little bit late this morning. Okay, so let's pull this up, y'all. Welcome to the Taliesin McKnight Show. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to find this real quick. So bear with me, y'all. Okay, alright, here we go. I found it. Okay, the third book of Enoch. So this is from the 5th century. And it talks about 72 angels that are associated with 72 nations and tongues of the world, and had to deal with the cosmos and the stars, things like that, the universe, okay? So this is from the third book of Enoch. So the books of Enoch, I think, are pretty interesting for angelology. Like, there's some of our best and some of our earliest sources for dealing with angelology. Like, dealing with angels in the Bible, like, you do see, like, Raphael in the quote-unquote apocryphal book of Tobit. And you do, of course, say Michael and all of this, okay? Gabriel appears. But what about all these other angels? Well, the books of Enoch actually have a lot of our angelology, you know, we get a lot of the stuff from the books of Enoch. So today we're looking at the third book of Enoch. Again, I'm not saying these are the same entities as the Shem angels, but what I am saying is there's 72 angels talked about in the third book of Enoch. 72 angels, okay, this is from the 5th century, that are associated with astrological things. So let's see what it says. This is from the 5th century. So it says here, here we go. The third book of Enoch. Okay, the third book of Enoch, chapter 17. verses 6 through 8. So again, be sure and check the sources yourself. We're going to the third book of Enoch, chapter 17, verses 6 through 8, if you want to read with me. So here we go. Over them is Reuchlin, the prince who is now it's talking about angels and stuff. Okay. Hi, Ollie, how are you? All right, here we go. I'm actually not sure. You might be, but if you are, it won't really matter because it's going to be a bunch. People are going to watch it anyways afterwards. But you might be. All right, so here we go. The third book of Enoch. Okay, chapter 17, verses 6 through 8. Okay, it's talking about the angels. It's talking about Reuchlin. So here we go. Over them is Reuchlin, the prince who is appointed over the constellations. Okay, this angel in the third book of Enoch, I'm reading the third book of Enoch, is appointed over the constellations. And he is accompanied by 72 great and honored angels. So let me read that again. This is from the third book of Enoch, chapter 17, verses 6 through 8. Over them is Reuchlin, the prince who is appointed, and some people have thought that maybe Reuchlin may have been something that later on be associated with Raziel. I personally think that might be jumping the gun a little bit, Raziel. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Some people have said it is like Raziel that taught Adam the Kabbalah or whatever in the mythology, Kabbalistic mythology. Okay, over them is Reuchlin, the prince who is appointed over the constellations, and he is accompanied by 72 great and honored angels. And why is he called Reuchlin? Because he makes the stars run in their orbits and courses every night, from the east to the west, and from the west to the east. For the Holy One, blessed be he, Baruch Hu, has made a tent for all of them, for the sun, the moon, the planets, and the stars, in which they travel at night from the west to the east. Under them is Kokbiel. Kokbiel is another angel mentioned here in the third book of Enoch. Under them is Kokbiel, the prince who is appointed over all the planets. And with him are 365,000 myriads of ministering angels, great and honored ones, who move the planets from city to city, from province to province, in the rakia of heaven. And over them are 72 princes of kingdoms, in high, corresponding to the 72 tongues of the world. And all of them are crowned with royal crowns, and clad in royal garments, and wrapped in royal cloaks. So here we see in the third book of Enoch, this is from around the 5th century, okay, the third book of Enoch talks about Reuchlin that governs the cosmos and the rotation of the stars and their orbits and the planets, the rotation of the universe, okay, Reuchlin is over the movement of the cosmos. Now, who's under Reuchlin, who moves the universe and spinning on its axis? Who is with Reuchlin? 72 angels. 72 angel princes, okay, that are clearly associated with the movement of the cosmos and the stars and all that. So 72. Now, one could extrapolate and say, well, the 72-fold name of God, because it's 72 angels, 72-fold name of God in Exodus 14, verses 19 through 21, these 72-fold divine names with El Yah. Well, these are the 72 angels of the divine name that are projected out in the cosmos as the 72 quinaries of the zodiac. And some would say that this even governs what was I going to say? So there's 72 angels that are mentioned in the 5th century book of Enoch. Now, at this time in history, they're not at least explicitly written. They're not equated with the 72 divine names from Shemot or Exodus 14:19 through 21. They're not associated with these angels of the name, but in the Renaissance, these would very much be looked at as the same thing. Okay. All right. Ali says, I've read the Book of Enoch. That's wonderful. Yeah, the Book of Enoch is excellent. Very important read. And today we're going to be going over the next geomantic figure, Populus. And I invite you, if you're here with me, I invite you to do a geomantic figure with me. Okay, I'll help you to draw your own geomantic figure. Yesterday I forgot to ask y'all, what did you get yesterday, if you did it? What did you get? So what we're going to do is we're going to make this like a daily habit. If you're watching my videos, I want you to get a pen and paper. By the way, you ought to go ahead and get this. If you're planning on watching this video, I highly recommend you go get a Sharpie. I really recommend using a Sharpie or a marker, okay? If you have any kind of Sharpie or marker in the house with you, I highly recommend that you get it, because later on in this video, you're going to need a Sharpie or marker and a pen, and a piece of paper, or a pen. You could use a pen. I think it's better with a marker and a piece of paper, because when you're watching these videos, I'm going to show you, you're going to be making your own geomantic figure, okay? You're going to be doing some Renaissance divination. You're going to be telling your own fortune, okay? Telling your own fortune using a method that is far older than tarot or any of these types of, like, it's very ancient. Geomancy, earth divination, and it's used to communicate with planetary spirits and intelligences. So this kind of brings Cornelius Agrippa's magic to life. So you could read about Yophiel being the intelligence of Jupiter, or Tyriel being the intelligence of Mercury, okay? But here, or Nachiel, the intelligence of the sun, but here you're actually calling on the spirit, and they answer questions through geomancy. So this is what a Renaissance magician would do. They would call on the planetary spirits. Again, a lot of grimoire magic is actually communicating with the spirits of astrology. And a lot of people that get into astrology, they don't know what they're missing out on. Like, if you get into astrology, why would you not, like, try to work with these things actively? Okay, try to call on the spirit of a zodiac sign, an angel of a zodiac sign, for example, a zodiacal angel. Call on the angel of Pisces, for example, or work with the spirits or intelligences or angels of planets. Do a little astral projection and go interact with these things. Like, go explore. You know what I mean? Go explore. Okay, I've got only a pen for now. That's good. A pen will work just fine, because we're going to do some geomantic stuff. But first of all, geomancy comes next. Okay, I'm going to have you do your own divination. But first of all, we're going to go a little deeper into the Shem angels. And we're hunting down. We are looking through all the old lore and history. We're trying to hunt down the 72 Shem. We're going to try to find what is their historical lore. Okay? So we're not trying to just project our own ideas onto the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephoresh. We're trying to understand their historical lore. So this book on the art of the Kabbalah, I've got it, y'all. This is my English translation. It's very good. I highly recommend this. It's on Amazon. This book was written in 1517. Okay? This book was written in 1517. This book is older. It's older than William Shakespeare. This magic book, well, this Kabbalistic book, it's not magic, it's Kabbalistic. This book is older than William Shakespeare. Okay. William Shakespeare might have read this. Possibly. He might have read it. Okay. 1517, early 16th century. De Arte Cabalistica by Johann Reuchlin. That is what we have in our hands. We live in a day and time, sirs and madams, in which we can just have this information at our fingertips. It's amazing. But I highly recommend this. It's De Arte Cabalistica by Johann Reuchlin. Again, here is an English translation. Okay? It's available on Amazon. On the Art of the Kabbalah. Is this showing backwards lettering? Is it backwards lettering? On the Art of the Kabbalah. Okay? By Johann Reuchlin. This one is, the translation is by Martin and Sarah Goodman. I found it to be actually pretty darn good. So today we're going to be reading about the Shem angels from this work in 1517. Okay? This was written by Johann Reuchlin in the early 16th century on the Shem angels. So here we go. So give me just a second here. Let me find the best. Oh, it is showing backwards. Okay. Alrighty. Here we go. So give me just a moment. Bear with me just a moment, y'all. I'm just trying to see where does this actually begin? Let me see here. Here we go. So, we're on book 3 of De Arte Cabalistica, or On the Art of the Kabbalah by Johann Reuchlin. Okay, so in these videos, we go to the classics of occultism. We try to pull up these books from the 16th century and try to understand, like, what is 16th century magic? What is 16th century esoteric practice? Okay, we're being informed by the past with historical writing. So here we go. This is De Arte Cabalistica by Johann Reuchlin, published in 1517, early 16th century. This is from book 3. If you get this book, I'm on page 261. Page 261. Okay. If we pay attention and add this alphabet to the 50 gates, we find the happy ranks of the 72 angels. 72 angels. By whom is said to stand Shem Ha-Mephiresh, that is, the great interpretive name of the high God. For 50 and 22 make 72. These are the angels strong. These are the angels strong over the whole earth. I just wanted to add that this is probably like the oldest text that directly talks about the 72 Shem angels and their powers. Well, we also have Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy. So Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy, which I'll read next time. Next time, I'll quote Agrippa on the 72 Shem angels. So next time, I'll quote Agrippa on the 72 Shem angels. Today, we're quoting Reuchlin. What is Reuchlin? So who cares what I have to say about her? Let's see what. First of all, let's look at what did Agrippa say about the Shem angels, the 72 Shem angels. What did Reuchlin say? But like I said, it's one of the earliest texts from the early 16th century. So if we pay attention and add this alphabet to the 50 gates, he's talking about the 50 gates of wisdom and all of that. Going into that, I could bring that in, but it's a little bit different topic. So we find the happy ranks of the 72 Shem angels, by whom is said to stand Shem Ha-Mephiresh, that is, the great interpretive name of the high God. For 50 and 22 make 72. These are the angels strong over the whole earth. Through them, it is thought, did Moses the miracle worker divide the sea with his hand down to the seabed. For these are the angels of division, and God divided the earth in accordance with the number of angels. In the Book of Justice, the famous master of Kabbalah, Rabbi Yosef ben Karnatal, wrote, and quote, "And all the nations were left, given into the power of the 70 rulers," unquote. That is, the dominion of the angels to whom the distinguished Kabbalist Rachanat assigns, writing on Genesis chapter 48, the 70 palms that are round the 12 fountains which you know. It is clear that there were two pillars of cloud and of fire, on which were set two angels. So it is not an empty belief that in Moses' dividing the sea and setting free the children of Israel, the 70 angels of the world and the two angels of the pillars of fire and cloud undertook the work of salvation, something which clearly comes to us from the ineffable Tetragrammaton name, through the 72 names which, once this verse from chapter 14 of Exodus has been explained, are culled from the Holy Scripture. So here Reuchlin talks about how the names of the 72 Shem angels comes from Exodus 14, like I explained in my last video. Okay, back to the book. These hallowed signs are in the present day stored in memories, and by these symbols the angels are summoned, and bring help to men, to the praise and glory of the ineffable God. According to Gerundensis, in his introduction to Genesis, Rabbi Solomon wrote in his exposition of the Talmud that, and quote, "These are the shapes of the symbols, I am tracing them with my finger." And here, Johann Reuchlin, here the text gives the 72 names. These are the 72 names, okay, of the Shem HaMephoresh here at the top, okay. He also has the original Latin, but as you can see, it's 72 three-lettered names that come from Exodus or Shemot, chapter 14, verses 19 through 21. These three verses in Hebrew in Exodus, chapter 14, these three verses each have 72 letters. By putting the three verses on top of each other, we extract the 72 divine names. And so these are the names that come from the Hebrew of that passage from the Torah, to which we add El or Yah to get the 72 Shem angel names. Okay, so here we go back to this. So here it talks about the angel names, okay? So like Vehuya or Vehu is mentioned, and Set for Sitael and all of that. Okay. Noir says, "This is my jam." Well, thank you very much. Hell yeah. We got some Taliesin McKnight going this morning. All right. Again, we are reading De Arte Cabalistica. We're reading 16th century books. Okay. This is from 1517. This book is older than William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare might have read it. Okay, he might have read the book. This is De Arte Cabalistica. Okay, early 16th century text talking about the Shem angels. So back to the book. De Arte Cabalistica by Reuchlin is what we're reading. This is from the 16th century. It says, "All these names spring from the quality of forbearance, say the Kabbalists. This forbearance comes from the 10 numerations. I will outline the tree of the numerations. Please God, if you are ready to listen." Now, the De Arte Cabalistica, on the Art of the Kabbalah, takes the form of like a dialogue or a conversation, kind of like a Socratic dialogue. So here the two figures talk. Philolaus and Maranus say, "Of course we are ready. It was for this that we risked all the perils of the journey and incurred such vast and recurrent expense. Proceed, let us learn something of these angels." Maranus says, "I have never heard their names," talking about the Shem angels. "I've never heard their..." So he says, "Proceed, let us learn something of these angels." Maranus says, "I've never heard their names, and I believe it is the same with you, Philolaus. Philolaus says, that's right. Never have I seen these angels or known their names. Excellent, sir. We shall be extremely grateful if you go on and never stop. Simon, who is the Jewish, Kabbalah speaker in the text, says, we can learn from the Holy Scriptures that there were many angels assisting in Moses' great and wonderful work when he divided the waters of the sea, that the Israelites might cross dry shod. I do not want to be thought too clever. These are the divine words from Scripture, and the angel of angels went, and not as the Latin translation runs, and the angel of the Lord raising himself, unquote. Here there is no Adonai, for which you can write Lord. It says Elohim, for which you usually read angels, as in, you have made him a little less than the angels, and in the sight of the angels will I hymn thee. But here angel is not written as it is elsewhere Elohim. It should be borne in mind that Elohim here has the definite article ha prefixed, as if the meaning of the sacred verse is, quote, understand by this angel of the cloud preceding the camp that there were many other angels also present, the rulers of this world, unquote. The Talmud concurs. In Mechilta, Rabbi Nathan seeks an answer to this. So, pardon me. Okay. Noir says, most excellent. Yes, most excellent. So, we continue our reading of De Arte Cabalistica. Let me get a sip of coffee here. How do y'all like this? I've been doing videos since 2008. I've never read on camera before. I've never done it. Honest opinion, y'all. What do y'all think about me doing a morning show and reading to y'all? I've never done that. Like I said, I've been making videos since 2008. And, I don't know. Hell, I was like a kid, basically, when I started. But, this is pretty interesting. I like the reading. Okay, here we go. Back to the text. De Arte Cabalistica. The Talmud concurs. In Mechilta, Rabbi Nathan seeks an answer to this. Question from Simon ben Bar Yochai, a member of my family. Quote, why, I ask, is it that everywhere else angel of Adonai is written, while here it is angel of Ha-Elohim? So in the Hebrew, it says angel of Ha-Elohim instead of Adonai. The reply is the term Elohim is only used to indicate a judge or ruler. Thus, the angel of the smoke is understood to have been present together with the 70 governors of their areas, and he is called therefore Malach Ha-Elohim, angel of the governors. Thus, one would be right in counting 72. You have just seen me write out their signs if you want. Rather, because you want, for I know that you want, I shall show you how they are derived from the sacred letters. Okay. Alright. Ali says, I love it. I've seen some of your first videos. Thank you. Yeah, I was 23 years old. I was 23 when I started making videos. 23 years old. Anyways, back to the text. Alright. Okay, back to the text. Take the 3 verses. So here it's talking about how the names of the 72 Shem angels are taken from Exodus chapter 14, verses 19 through 21. Okay, so basically, I'm going to set this book down just for a minute. Basically, I talked about this in my last video. There are 3 verses in the Bible that have 72 letters. And by putting these in Hebrew, there's 72 letters to each of these 3 verses. And by putting these 3 Bible verses on top of each other, the top verse right to left, which is normal in Hebrew, the second verse left to right, and then the third verse right to left, you get 72 columns. from these 3 Hebrew Bible verses. From these 72 columns, you get the 72 names of God. To these 72, which are meditative and like Kabbalistic things in themselves, like it talks about it in Sefer HaRaziel or Sefer Raziel HaMalak, things like that. These 72 divine names, by adding El or Yah, you get the 72 Shem angels. Now, the 3 Bible verses talks about the angel of the Lord and the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire. This is the Israelites in the desert being pursued by the Egyptians. It talks about the angel of the Lord becomes the pillar of cloud and goes in between the camp of the Egyptians and the Israelites, and was darkness to the Egyptians, but a light unto the Hebrews. And then it talks about Moses raised his hands and parted the Red Sea. And the red in a east wind blew and parted the Red Sea, and the Hebrews were able to pass through the Red Sea. The waters were divided. We're able to pass on dry land. This is the story. Okay, this is where you get the 72 Shem angel names. And the Kabbalistic lore, which Reuchlin talks about here in the 16th century, is that Moses, his power came from the 72 Shem angels. Now, I'm not saying that's literally true. I'm not saying that this Bible story literally happened. That's for each individual person. Some people may take these things literally, and some people may... Whatever perspective you have on this, the thing is, the historical lore and history of the Shem angels, these 72 Shem angels are supposedly the angels associated with Moses parting the Red Sea, and the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire in the wilderness. This is where these 72 Shem angel names come from. The 72 Shem means name in Hebrew. They're angels of the divine name that are extracted from these 3 verses in Exodus. Exodus chapter 14, verses 19, 20, and 21. Like I said, each of the 3 verses has 72 letters. By putting the 3 Bible verses on top of each other in Hebrew, you get the 72 names of God. Like I said, by adding El or Yah, you get the 72 Shem angel names. So back to the text. Okay, so we're going back to De Arte Cabalistica. This is by Johann Reuchlin. This is an excellent English translation if you want to buy it on Amazon. I think the lettering's back. On the Art of the Kabbalah, or De Arte Cabalistica, okay? I'll add a link, when I'm done with the video, to Amazon if anyone's interested. So back to the book. Now it's talking about what I just said, the 3 Bible verses, you get the 72 Shem angel names, the 3 verses in the Torah. So here we go. Take the 3, I'm reading from the book again. Take the 3 verses beginning Vayisa, Vayabo, and Vayet, and write them out one by one in a vertical column in the Kabbalistic manner, from right to left, such as the letters of each word follow one from another from top to bottom without a break. Then take the first letter of the first verse, which is called Vav. Next, working the other way, take the last letter of the second verse, He, and lastly go to the beginning of the third verse, for which you find Vav again. When you link up these 3 letters in this order, the first angel's mnemonic Vav, He, Vav, or Vehuya, okay, Vav, He, Vav is obtained. The second angel, Yod, He, Yod. And the third, Samek, Yod, Tet. So too with the rest, whenever they are set out 3 by 3, with the 3 columns kept properly straight and tidy, some sort of sign that explains the tetragrammaton will be produced. Now I believe it's, let me just check something real quick. Yep, okay. So here we go. Continuing with the text. Well, look, consider and contemplate this well, for this is the greatest happiness, the highest joy, surpassing all joy in this age. To remember God's holy commands, the divine features called malachim in Hebrew, angels in Greek, and gods in Latin, and to occupy hand and brain in things so faultless, good, and hallowed. To keep close company with those shining white shapes whose splendor gleams only for the sharp-sighted eyes of noble minds. To be among the guests and confidants of the blessed spirits, which care for us more than mortals. As brothers, not just care but even love. Even the walls seem to exult and rejoice with us that God's goodness has given us these alphabetical constructions, these signs of human weakness through which we are admitted to the happy bands of angels, given the limits of human ability. With the angels we rejoice and delight, our hearts at rest, worshipping and reverencing them. We pay them the honor due to such sublimity, those by whom we are loved, taught, and guarded. Marinus in the dialogue says, I see the letters, but do not know what they sound like, and so do not know how to utter these words and invoke the angels. Now I'm going to stop here. Marinus in the text, again, this is like a dialogue. He says, but I don't know how to properly pronounce it. So how can I make contact because I don't know how to pronounce the name? So it's interesting. He addresses this in the 16th century. What if I mispronounce the angel name? This is what he says. So this 16th, this is interesting. Marinus, I'll just read it again. Sorry, I tend to repeat a lot. It's like it's what I do. But Marinus says, I see the letters, but I don't know what they sound like, and so do not know how to utter these words and invoke the angels. So he's like, I don't know how to properly pronounce the angel names. How do I call them? Simon says, which is the rabbi in the text, as the eyes see them, so do the ears hear them. And as they see us, so do they hear us calling. The angels hear us calling them. Okay, we don't have to worry so much about how we sound out the letters. That's just odd. Okay. I will tell you in 2 words how this comes about, in spirit and in truth. As our minds have tongues, so angels have ears. And just as divine spirits speak with the tongues of angels, so do human spirits listen with the ears of the mind. They do not give themselves names through any wish for acknowledgement or acclaim therefore. They are jogging the memory, wanting us to bear them in mind. Do not think that all the strength of the divine is found in speech. So do not think that all the strength of the divine is found in speech. These symbols urge that we continually remember the angels. Making a practice of doing so brings us into the love of God, and in turn love brings remembrance. We often remember what we greatly love, as it says in the Proverbs, quote, lovers remember everything, unquote. God has not given us this name of the Tetragrammaton that we should call out what is unutterable. You are right to call it anekphoneton, that is unpronounceable. To Moses' question, what is your name? The Creator replied, Yod-He-Vav-He is my name to eternity, and this is my memorial from generation to generation. The Tetragrammaton, that's the 4-lettered name of God, YHVH or Yod-He-Vav-He, often pronounced in English as Yahweh or Jehovah. Tetragrammaton then is the name for eternity. But for a generation it is only a memorial, as no human word can encompass the name which equals the divine nature. We know the angels from their works, and we have names for them from their individual works. Raphael from medicine, Gabriel from manliness, Michael from wonder and awe. We interpret Michael as who is so strong. Being mortals, we are too weak to discover their proper names. So being mortals, we're too weak to discover their proper names, as we do not know their real nature, nor could we use the names if we discovered them, except if it were by concession of divine revelation. And so a few scholars of insight set themselves to form the names of the angels from the numbers and figures handed down of the divine. They were like boys taught to derive sounds from letter, whether Greek, Roman, Arabic, or Egyptian, not because the sound to be voiced lacked letters, but because of our imperfections. So there are names and signs that either by their shape or their sound arouse our senses. The senses stimulate the imagination. Imagination, memory. Memory, reason. Reason, the understanding. And understanding rouses mind, and the mind, the angel. Wow. This is just profound. And we're learning from someone from the 16th century. Like, we're like sitting down. I mean, reading the book is the same way. We're like sitting in this guy's cottage. I can imagine there's a fireplace, like we're learning from someone from, we're learning from Johann Reuchlin. Okay, back to the book. Your distinguished philosopher Maximus of Tyre wrote something on these lines very neatly in section 8 of Discourse on My First Visit to Rome. Thus, this conjectural inference becomes clear to you. It is enough that you read the 3 words which I have just resolved into the 72 names of the angels, with reverence and veneration, in the order the Holy Spirit laid down, and that you press on directly through love of them in the name of God Most High, in burning ardor and fearful adoration, taking great care to bear in mind that just as the number 72 is derived arithmetically from the numerical value of the tetragrammaton, so the 72 angels are produced from the sign of the Creator, as if by divine issue. Okay, so here it's about to talk about when you put the 4-lettered name of God, Yod He Vav He, in a tetractys or a triangle, you get the number 72. So in Hebrew, as in Greek, there is no separate way to write a number. Like in English, we could write 2, which is actually Arabic 2, or 1, or 3, or 4. We have a special way to write that. But in Greek, and in Latin, actually, and in Hebrew, the letter also was a way to write a number. Okay, so we know about Roman numerals like I is 2, I is 3, IV is 4, V is 5, etc. Okay, we know about Roman numerals. They use letters to write numbers. Well, in Greek and Hebrew, they did the same thing. Okay, like in Greek, alpha was the number 1, or the letter alpha. Beta, 2. Gamma is 3, delta is 4. Okay, so alpha, beta, gamma, delta is 1, 2, 3, 4. Same way in Hebrew, aleph, bet, gimel, dalet, he, vav, zayin, chet. Okay, so yod is the first letter, equals 10. Yod, and then he equals 5. Vav equals 6. So basically, it's a lot to try to explain here. I try to make my videos where someone that's been studying this for decades can get something out of it, and someone that's totally new can also understand. I try to make my videos good for everybody, because to me that's important. But basically, Hebrew letters equal numbers, and by putting Yod at the top, and then Yod He, and then Yod He Vav, and at the bottom Yod He Vav He, so you've got like a triangle with the 4-letter name of God, you get 72. Okay, so that's what it's about to refer to. And Athanasius Kircher also breaks this down. And it's a Kabbalistic device that shows that from the 4-lettered name of God, Tetragrammaton, or Yahweh, or Jehovah, from the 4-lettered name of God, Yod He Vav He, you get the number 72. So it shows that the 72 divine names, using Kabbalistic reasoning, the 72 names of God come from the 4-lettered name. So Yod He Vav He is the source of the 72 names. Okay, so that's what it's about to say. So here we go, back to the text, De Arte Cabalistica. It says, any Hebrew letter you take stands for a particular number. Thus, in this way, Yod He Vav He equals 72. Yod is 10. Yod He is 15. Yod He Vav is 21. and Yod-He Vav-He is 26. Now add 10, 15, 21, and 26. And the answer is 72. So again, this shows how the 72 divine names come from the fourfold name of God. Consider these and you will understand clearly the need. Okay, let me see. This might be the end of the... Yeah, that's the end of the section about the 72 Shem angels. So, what do y'all think? Do y'all like that or no? Do you like doing the readings? So, we're looking at what they were saying in the 16th century about the 72 Shem angels, the 72 angels of the Shem HaMeferet. Now, I don't do this to be dogmatic. I do this because if we're going to look at these 72 spirits, we need to understand their history, their lore, okay? So I try not to make stuff up. I try to keep to... And if I say something that's historically inaccurate, I want people to tell me. See, that is what keeps people that make videos in check. That's what keeps us accurate, okay? Viewers have to check us. If we say something wrong or inaccurate, please tell us. If I say something that's historically not correct, please tell me. I want that, okay? If I say something that's historically not right, please tell me in the comments. Because to me, it is extremely important to be historically accurate when talking about the 72 Shem angels. But today we were reading De Arte Cabalistica, or in English, On the Art of the Kabbalah. This is written by Johann Reuchlin. I highly recommend this text on Amazon or wherever you buy books. This English translation from the Latin is pretty good. And I'll actually give a link. So, that's enough of that for the moment. And then we're about to get into our Geomancy is coming up next. If y'all enjoyed that, then tomorrow I might read what Agrippa says about the Shem angels and try to break that down tomorrow, if y'all are interested. So tomorrow we can go into another 16th century book and try to learn about the Shem angels. Okay, I'm going to go to the comments for just a second here. Okay. Anka says, could you please write the book title? Absolutely. So, On the Art of the Kabbalah with a K. Kabbalah. I know you asked me to write it. I can't right now because I'm doing a live. Actually, maybe I can. No, I'll write it after. Okay. Ali says I'm working with Poyel right now. Very cool, Poyel. Okay. All right. So reading the comments here. Okay, this person said, I don't know, I've been just automatically writing these names, especially Elohim. I knew they were angels, but I understand them to be the watchers. Yeah, the Grigori. Which also goes back to the books of Enoch. Okay, Anka says, thank you. Noir says, I'm also obsessed with all things Kabbalah. Well, you're in the right place then. If you're obsessed with Kabbalah... They were concerned about those issues too, lol. Okay, profound. I learned something new about the name and the triangle. I comprehend more when people read and explain. This is good stuff. Thank you. I'm so glad. Okay. Ollie says, I'm currently working with the Shem angels. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I hope y'all are working with the Shem angels. Now, there are different ways to do timing. Okay. But, you know... So, if you want to work with an angel any day, Lazar Lenain does give a 20-minute cycle of all the times. Like, let's say that you skipped Damabia, the last angel, and you still wanted to work with Damabia, but the sun is moved into the next degrees. You could use another form of timing. Lenain tells us at from 9:20 to 9:40 p.m. Now you have to consider daylight. So I would correct for daylight. If you have daylight savings, I would like cut that out. Because we want one clock. We want to like try to detach ourselves a little bit from our human clock. In my opinion, I would correct for daylight savings, okay? To the actual time. But 920 to 940 is ruled by Damabia. Okay, so the way that Linane does this, Vehuya, Shem Angel 1, Vehuya, is from midnight to 12:20. And then the next angel, 12:20 to 12:40. And then Sitael, I guess, is from 12:40 to 1 a.m. And you go through all 72, all the minutes in a day are divided into 72. I've used it a little bit. It seems to work okay. You know, I'm just not real crazy about Lazar Linane's timing and his 3. I don't want to judge because those things are like really like part of the modern history of the Shem Angels, but I just don't see anything like historical with the Shem Angels before he does this. But Lazar Linane gives the full office of each angel. I love the office, you know. His offices are very good. Noir says, definitely will be learning more on the Shem. Thank you for the introduction, as I believe they were calling me through you. Well, thank you. I'm so glad. Yeah, I do believe that, you know, I don't know how many people I've talked to that were like, you know, I received a name. I thought I contacted an angel, and like, this person was pagan. They were like, and I got the name Yeya, or whatever it was, okay? And then they looked it up, and it was one of the Shem angels. Like, you get this all the time. They'll reveal their name. There's something about a name and an angel. And it's actually interesting, because these are literally angels of the name. Always keep in mind that the word Shem in Hebrew means name. Shem is the Hebrew word for name, Shem. So Shem angel is literally name angel, or angel of the divine name. These are the 72 names of God taken from Exodus, and then they're projected out on the 72 quinaries of the zodiac, 5 degrees each of the zodiac. Now, I did read Rahatiel. You know, I'm going to include this text too for those that want to read Rahatiel in the 3rd book of Enoch. 3rd book of Enoch talks about Rahatiel that governs the constellations and his 72 angel princes. And he, like, turns the universe on its axis, you know, according to the 3rd book of Enoch. Again, I'm not saying this is the same thing as the Shem angels, but it certainly is interesting. Angels of the cosmos, 72. Okay. But you could argue that the 72-fold divine name in Shemot, or Exodus, is actually the names that could be applied to these 72 angels. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, they call you exactly. Ali says he says to start working with an angel on a Thursday and on the following Sunday, so 11 days total. Who says that? Who are you talking about there? All right, y'all. So next, we're going to get into our geomancy. Okay, next we're going to go into our geomantic readings. Okay? Wow, it's been about almost an hour. Has it really been almost an hour? No way. Okay, Damon Brand. Oh. I mean, the thing is, okay, there are different approaches to angel magic. I try to stick with, like, the historical stuff. Damon Brand's okay. You know, he helps a lot of people to come to it. But I would take anything he says with a grain of salt. Like, if Damon Brand says to work 11 days, like, where's he getting this from? Like, based on what? Like, is that part of the tradition? Or is he just, like, making stuff up? I've got nothing against Damon Brand. I've got his 72 Angels of Magic book over there. I never could, like, really finish. I'm not trying to, like, I think it's great. It brings many people to the Shem Angels. My personal, like, everyone has biases. Like, we have to be honest. Like, we all have them. Me personally, I'm just so much focused in, like, history and understanding the history of things, that for me, the 72 Angels of Magic. You could try it, you can do it, you know, you can, if you want to do an 11-day ritual, but like if you look at what Agrippa says about the number 11, I'm not sure that would, like, why would that make sense? Whatever works for you, you know? I figure if you keep a record or a journal, write down your experiments. If it's working, then good. I mean, that's all there is to it. If it works, it works. So that's why you should never listen to someone like me or anyone or a book trying to tell you how to do something. Now, I do personally find that I like the historical way of doing things, but if something works for you, then it works. There's no other way to look at it. If you do an 11-day ritual and it brings good results, then wow, well, okay, you got an awesome 11-day ritual then. Whatever works for you works. But I'm not trying to like talk bad about Damon Brand or anything. I think he's great. You know, he helps people. Yes, they are amazing and profound. Okay, it's been working for you, then that's awesome. If it's been working for you, then there you go. That's all that you need. And so today I wanted to do a geomantic reading, okay? Today I wanted to do some geomancy. It's been about an hour. A lot of shows, they do an intermission. I wanted to get some more coffee. I wanted to get some more coffee real quick. If y'all could give me 5 minutes tops, not even 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Is that cool? And then when I get back in like 3 minutes, we will go over the next geomantic figure, Populus, and also we'll walk you through making your own geomantic figure. So again, now some people may have been doing geomancy for years and they don't need this. But for those of you that have never tried geomancy before, watching these videos, you're going to get in the habit of doing a geomantic figure for yourself. Okay, so you're learning a new skill. Okay, so you got your pen and paper ready? Hell yeah, we're going to make it happen, Cap'n. Alright, so give me just a second. I'll be back in 3 minutes, okay? 3-minute intervention. We're at the top of the hour. You know, I'm doing this like a traditional show. We're at the top of the hour, guys. Intermission. Anyways, give me 3 minutes. I'll be right back. I'm going to go make some coffee, and we're going to dive into some geomancy, y'all. Okay, quick intermission time. And I'll be right back. Okay. I need to have some cool music or something, you know? I need to do some music. Alright, are y'all still there? Have y'all run away yet? I hope y'all hadn't run away. Hope y'all are still here. Still here. Okay. So give me 1 more minute. I'm gonna get some coffee, y'all. Don't run away. Okay. Or I guess if you're watching later, you could just skip. Hit that magic skip button. Okay. I'll be right back. Give me like 2 more minutes. And then we're gonna go into some geomancy. I'll be right back, y'all. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for your patience. My gosh, I feel bad, you know. Just want to get another cup of coffee but anyways, I see that you're still here. Thank you. That's actually really awesome. Y'all are awesome. All right, so here we go. So, if you would like to draw a geomantic figure with me, okay, we're going to do this together. Hold on, I'll be right back. Let me get this real quick. And then we're going to do some geomancy together. All right, so here we go. So get your pen and paper ready. Okay? You're awesome. So get your pen and paper ready. Okay, we're going to trace a geomantic figure. So what you're going to do is you're going to think of a question. Something important, okay? Think of a question or something you're curious about. I recommend writing your question down. Write your question down or remember it. What you're going to do is you're going to take your pen or Sharpie and you're going to do 4 rows of dots. So 1 row, you're going to think of your question. That's 1 row. Then go down, do a 2nd row of dots and do 4 rows of dots. And once you have your 4 rows of dots, you're going to count up each row and see is it an odd number or even number of dots. If it's an odd number of dots, it becomes 1. And if it's an even number of dots, it becomes 2. So let's try this out. Let me think of a question. I'm horrified that I'm going to do a reading live and it's going to be just something awful, like something awful. And I'll be like, well, damn. The whole planet now knows I got a messed up reading. I don't think so, you know. I think it'll be okay. It'll be all right. Gonna broadcast my reading. It'll be fine. It's for educational purposes, y'all. So let me think of a question. All right, so I have my 4 rows of dots. Okay. So let's take a look. 4 rows of dots. This is what you do. You think of your question and you make 4 rows of dots. So I'll wait on you. If you want to do that real quick, I'll wait. Think of a question. Take your pen and paper and make 4 rows of dots. I'll wait. Okay. So, did you ask your question and you have your 4 rows of dots? Have you done it yet? If no, then I would pause the video at this point and go ahead and ask your question and make 4 rows of dots. Once you're done, go ahead and hit play and I'll show you how to make a figure out of that. Okay. So, now let's take a look at our result. Okay, let's take a look at our results. It's interesting. People used to take a stick and mark it in desert sands in order to speak with spirits of planets and things. We'll go deeper into all of that. But for now, we're just getting the basic figures and what they mean. Okay, let's see here. Ali says, do you just randomly put dots until you want to stop? Yes. Yes. So if you haven't done it, did you do it yet? If not, I'll wait again. I'll wait on you again if you want, because you're watching live. Yes. So you just think of your question, and you just do 1 row of dots until like you feel like you're done. Then you go down and you do a 2nd row of dots until you feel like you're done. And then you go down to the 3rd row of dots till you feel like you're done. and then go down 1/4, the fourth and final row of dots at the bottom until you're done. So if you haven't done that yet, do it now. Okay, you did it. Okay. Now, we're going to count the dots in each row and see if it's an odd number of dots or an even number of dots. I'll show you mine as an example. So, the top row, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 8 dots at the top, which is an even number. So even numbers become 2 dots. Okay, I'm going to count the second row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The second row, 9 is an odd number. So the second part of my figure becomes 1 dot. Odd numbers are 1. Even numbers are 2. I'm going to count the third row of dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, the third row is 9 dots in it, and 9 is an odd number, which becomes 1 dot. My fourth row at the bottom, has 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. 4 is an even number, so 4 even numbers become 2, so I have conjunctio. Do you see how that worked? So, you asked your question, you made 4 rows of dots, now count up the dots in each row. So like I said, my top row had an even number of dots, so the top of my figure is 2. My second row has an odd number of dots. My second row was 1. My third row has an odd number of dots, which became 1. My fourth row has an even number of dots, which equals 2. Yours are all odd, so that figure is via. Via. If all of your figures are odd, that would be dot, dot. That's, your figure is like a line, okay? Your figure is via. Via. So if you got all odds, that's via. So your final figure will be 1 dot, 1 dot, 1 dot, 1 dot. Via means path or way. Now today I'm actually talking about kind of its opposite, populus. But via, since you're on here on the live, I guess that's part, y'all need to catch me live, damn it. Okay, y'all need to start catching me live, damn it. And you'll get these perks, these live conversation perks like this person has, okay? Early bird catches the worm. So via, what you just got, means path or way. If you look at it, it's a road. Via's elemental structure is water, though it's like a riverway, is a flow of goods and movement. And so maybe you've discovered like your path or your way, or you're pushing through obstacles. Via's a good it's a good thing to get. Maybe you're discovering your path or your way, or you're pushing through. But it's going to have to wait for me to go deep into that geomantic figure. But you can look it up. Via is V-I-A. V-I-A. So, what I would do, whatever you and anyone else that does this, when you find the figure, you can look up online there's only 16 of them. There's 16 geomantic figures, okay? There's 16. Go online, look up geomantic figures, and you'll find which figure yours was. And you can look up the meanings, okay? And then also, as I work through these videos, I'll give the meanings of each one. Okay, all right. So if you want to ask how long, what you could do is you could do a reading, you can draw a geomantic figure and ask the question, We're going to have to go deeper into this. You could ask, like, the result of my, will I have it achieved this year or the next year? I would do more than yes or no questions. You could do yes or no questions. Yes or no questions, if you get a positive figure, it's a yes. You get a negative figure, it's a no. Okay? You can do yes or no's. But we're going to go deeper into geomancy as I continue these videos. But it sounds like you're on the right track if you've got Via. Noir says, I got 2111. It looks like a Y. So what you got was Cauda Draconis. That has to, or Caput. I'm sorry, Caput Draconis is the head of the dragon. So Noir, you got the head of the dragon in your reading, Caput Draconis, and that represents beginnings. If you said it looks like a Y, if you look at the 2 at the top, that's a doorway. And you look at the 1 dots coming down, that's a path leading out of the doorway. Caput Draconis is opening a door and walking through. It's kind of like Via. It's interesting. Both of y'all, the 2 of you drew figures that have to do with a path or a road or a journey. It's interesting. The 2 of y'all, so Via is like a road, and then you got Caput Draconis, the head of the dragon, and if you look at it visually, the 2 at the top is a door, an open door, and then the 1 dot is like walking out of the door. You're entering a new beginning. So whatever you asked about, new beginnings, Caput Draconis, the head of the dragon. Okay. But I'll go, yes, if you got yes immediately in your mind, see, I would take Caput Draconis as a yes in this case. Anka says, mine is 2122. Okay, so that would be Rubius. And Rubius, it really depends on what you asked for. Rubius could be seen as kind of a negative figure that could represent like too much emotion in something. Like Rubius is an upside down goblet. Think of it that way. It's an upside down cup. It's like Rubius is also called burning. Rubius has to do with like a lot of passions and emotions. I don't know, it could be kind of a destructive figure. I'd have to know what you asked in order to like break down what that would mean for you. Okay. All right, so that's cool. Doing the live readings, I can kind of look a little bit at what you got. So that's cool. Be sure and tune in then. The second part of my daily episodes, Monday through Friday, I'm going to be, and I've got one more tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, and I'll get a couple days off. Okay? So, yeah, basically, tomorrow's going to be the last show for the week, and then a couple days, but tomorrow I'm going to go deeper. Let me see here. The numbers add up to 7. Yeah, but we don't really do geomancy that way. Yeah, they add up to 7, but geomancy is not really based in that. I mean, it's valid if you want to look at it that way. That's just not part of the traditional way of reading geomancy. Okay. Okay. It's about a romantic... Oh, okay. Anka got Rubius, and it was for a romantic interest. Rubius is all about the sex, okay? I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be a little too much this morning for y'all, but Rubius is about, the sex, okay? It's ruled by Mars. Could be lots of sex. But Rubius could also represent too much passions and could also represent like aggression or anger. Now, I'm not saying this is how the relationship will turn. I'm not saying that, okay? And we'd have to do like a further reading, but I would watch out maybe for anger or things that have to do with temper. Because again, Rubius is all about the emotions, but it's also ruled by Mars. But in matters of like sexuality, for example, for sexuality, I'd say Rubius is definitely good in passion. But for like a long-term relationship, we'd have to go into like a further reading. We'd have to like break this down further, okay? Rubius is good for passion and excitement, but for like a long-term relationship, we'll have to go a little deeper into a reading. Okay, so here we go. But there's definitely passion there. If you got Rubius, it could be your patch, could be the other person's patch, but it's lots of passion there. But today we're actually going through the figures one by one. Episode 1 we did Puer. Episode 2 Amicia. Episode 3 yesterday we did Albus. Today we are on to Populus. Populus. Populus is the geomantic figure that we're doing today. Populus. So it's interesting. Like since I've been like geomancy is like my go-to method. I don't even use like other methods anymore. Really, like geomancy is my way, and it's so old. You know, this is what people were doing in the 1500s. In the 1400s, in the Renaissance. Like I said in my last video, yes, tarot is ancient. Tarot is old. Tarot goes back to the late 1300s, early 1400s in like Milan, Italy. In Italy, we had these Italian like decks that go back to the late 13, early 1400s. However, and this is going to piss a lot of people off, but it's just true. There's no record of people telling fortunes with tarot cards up until the 1700s. There's just no record. Yes, they're deeply symbolic pictures of like the Last Judgment or the devil or the universe or the world or the Pope or the Emperor, the Wheel of Fortune, justice. Like these things are like, or strength. These are like very deeply symbolic images, like medieval allegories and stuff, but they were used for like card games, okay? Card games. It was a tela, and a lot of the, like in the 1700s, people started divining. And then in the 1800s, you had the Golden Dawn, which I love the tarot as like a picture book to work through the Tree of Life. Okay, I'm kind of going off on a rant here. I think the tarot is absolutely amazing as an esoteric picture book to like path work and stuff. I use it to path work, okay? But for divination, I think it's one of the greatest things handed down to us or developed by moderns maybe. But the tarot I think is amazing for like ascent and meditating on the symbols and all of that. However, for divination, if you lived before the 1700s, you probably weren't getting a tarot reading. You were going to geomancy or an astrologer, or getting your palms read. But if we're going into like the actual Renaissance magic and occultism and like Middle Ages and before even, we're going to geomancy, okay? This is what a magician in the 1500s would do to talk to a spirit. But anyways, today is Populus. Populus means the people in Latin. Populus, like the word population, populus. Populus means the people. And the image of Populus shows a bunch of people. This is like the crowd. So Populus represents like the crowd, the multitude, a big group of people is what Populus represents. Now Populus is neither good nor bad. It's just a crowd. It's a group of people. It represents that a bunch of people have a say in an issue. So Populus could be a group of people at work. They could be coworkers. They could be a group of friends. It's a group of people. Populus. Okay. Again, populus, like the word population, it means people in Latin. Also referred to as, it's also like a congregation or the multitude. Okay, populus. Populus is all about reflection. Do you see how it's like a mirror image? See how it's like a mirror image? It's about reflection. This could be like looking in a mirror. Each side is a mirror image of the other. It is reflective. Populus is assigned to the moon, and the moon is reflective. The moon and Cancer and water is a reflective element. So Populus represents a crowd or a group, and its essence is reflective. It's like a mirror image. It reflects, okay? The moon reflects. It is receptive. So it's ruled by Cancer and the moon. It is considered stable. The reason that Populus is stable is because no one has ultimate power. There's so many different influences in a situation, but that's the problem with Populus. Sometimes it could be hard to affect a change. Like Via, the opposite of Populus, is like one line. It is straight energy. It's easy to make a change. You know where you're going. Populus is reflected and dispersed. It's stable because no one person has power. There's so many factors involved. Like, let's say you're asking about something at work and you get Populus. What that could, maybe, possibly mean is that there's so many people at work that no one has ultimate power or authority in the situation because it's one pulling against each other. So with a group of people, there's so many factors at work, okay? But Populus, the problem is sometimes it's hard to sway a crowd. If there's so many people that have a say in a matter, it may be harder to have an influence. But Populus means the people, the group, the crowd. It's also reflective, like a mirror image. Populus is ruled by Cancer and the moon, and is the element of water. Both its internal and external element is water. Now, if a figure has one dot, it represents an active, and two dots is passive. So really, this is like a binary, okay? It's interesting. Someone up here said that like theirs was 2, it was 2 1 1 1. Another one was 2 1 2 2. Like looking at the geomantic figures, it's binary, okay? What you have here is 2 2 2 2. Okay, Via is 1 1 1 1. So 2 2 2 2. Now these are 4 elemental lines. So there are always 4 lines in a geomantic figure, okay? The top line is called the head line. This is like the head of the figure. The second line or row of dots is called the neck. This is the neck of the figure. You have the head, the neck. The third is called the body. This is the body of the figure. The body of the figure is 2 dots. And the bottom is the feet. Okay, so one way of looking at any geomantic figure, the head, neck, body, and feet lines, okay? All of these have 2. Another way to look at it is elemental lines. So the top, whether it's 1 dot or 2, the top row is fire. The second row, 1 dot or 2, the second is always the air line. The third is the water line, and the bottom is the earth line, like your feet touch the earth. So head, neck, body, feet, or fire, air, water, earth. Now all of these are inactive or passive. All 4 elements are passive. So why is Populus water? Why? Normally the external element matches the astrological zodiacal association. For example, Puer is Aries, that's fire. Amicio is Taurus, that's earth. Albus is Gemini, that's air. We're talking about external, outer or externally directed elements. Populus is Cancer, obviously that's water. But the internal element normally has 1 dot. It's somewhere with the 1 dot where it's active is the internal elements. What it is at its core. Like Puer is externally fire, internally it's air. Okay? Albus is externally air, is Gemini, but internally it's water. Populus, even though it does not have any active element, its internal element is also water because of its reflective quality. So Populus is both internally and externally water. Again, there's 16 geomantic figures. 4 times 4 is 16. Geomantic figures, geo means earth divination. They could be seen as like the elements within elements, okay? But also astrological association. So this is like the symbol system of Western esotericism. So we have all passive elements, but this is water. Okay, Populus, its reflective quality is water. So water is reflective, the moon is reflective, Cancer is reflective, And Populus, because it's associated with Cancer, is associated with the rib cage and the chest or the breast. So just like the rib cage is like a shell, okay? Think of it like the shell of a crab. So Populus, again, has to do with a group of people. Populus is not good or bad in a reading. Populus, due to its reflective quality, Populus is good or bad depending on the other figures that you get. Like, let's say you're doing a chart and you have a bunch of different figures, and I'll get into how to do charts later. So as you continue to watch my videos, pretty soon we'll be doing shield charts and house charts. I'll show you how to make a chart out of these figures, and I'll also tell you how to communicate with spirits using geomancy and like a Renaissance approach, okay? We're going to do that too. But anyway, so Populus, Cancer, the moon, it's reflective, its internal and external elements are both water, and it has to do with a group of people. And again, its stability comes from its inertia. Groups in themselves are not dynamic unless they're given a force from outside. So that kind of goes into the idea of groups, or a group of people are given impulse or directive from a leadership or from a shared belief or something from outside gives a group a direction. But in itself, groups are receptive. They're responsive. The masses are receptive. They're passive, okay? Until they're given direction in some type of way. So when you get Populus in a reading, it could be good or bad depending on the other figures around it, or if it's by itself. What Populus would mean is that the outcome depends on many people, many factors, okay? So let's say you're trying to get a promotion, and the only figure you get is Populus. It might be like you don't have a whole lot of say because there's so many players involved. Okay, or it will depend on the group or the group dynamics, okay? So anyways, that is Populus. And I'm going to go deeper into each of the 16 geomantic figures. And like I said in my videos, we're doing classical magic, okay? There's nothing wrong with modern or new age or any of that's wonderful, okay? But in my videos, I tend to put a lot of focus on classical magic from like the Renaissance, okay? So today, we were looking at the 72 Shem angels, or 72 angels of the divine names of the Shem HaMephorash. And today we were reading De Arte Cabalistica from the 16th century. This book was written in 1517, but we have an excellent edition here that you can buy on Amazon or wherever. So today we're reading the De Arte Cabalistica. We read that, and today we went over the next geomantic figure. So tomorrow will be the last day of the quote-unquote week of videos. So Monday through Friday I make videos. And then on the weekend, I might do something in Spanish. We'll see how it goes. You might see some Spanish on the weekend. So if you don't speak Spanish, I'm sorry, but I got to do it. So may possibly have something Spanish on the weekends, maybe not. But so Monday through Friday, though, I have this show. So today is Thursday. Woohoo! And then we got tomorrow. So be sure and tune in tomorrow morning if you enjoy these podcasts. And we're going to continue. We're going to work through this, y'all. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day today. Actually, I'm going to go through the comments, because that would be... Sometimes I tend to like be forgetful, but I don't mean... I've got a lot on my mind, because I've got the camera rolling. There's that little bit of stress of camera, and what am I doing? And sometimes I get stuff on my mind, you know. I don't try to be inconsistent, but I need to read the comments before I close out. It would be the proper thing to do. Let me see here. Noir says, I noticed the eyes also when I was writing. Spell that, please. Spell what now? Spell what? Let me see here. So, yeah. I'm going through the comments. So, yeah, you got Via. And you got Rubius. We got some different readings here. Let me see here. With geomancy, is it only yes or no questions or open-ended questions as well? Honestly, I think it's better open-ended questions. Yes and no's, you can do it. You can do it, but you'll have to like infer, is it a yes or a no? Like, let's say yes is good, or like, you just kind of have to, I think it's better with open questions because you can learn more about a situation, but it's also very good for like yes and no. Okay, usually a positive figure is a yes. Okay, you just have to work with it, but open-ended is probably better. Noir says, I do numerology too. It's the number of the archangels, lots of messages and everything, just noticing it all. Yeah, yeah. Now, if I said, well, that's not, you don't normally add them up in geomancy, I'm not saying that it's not valid. All I'm saying is, if we're going by like the hardcore, like strict geomancy books, you don't normally add the figures up to get like an end number. Now, if you do that and you find meaning, then that's all there is to it, okay? I'm like a totally open-minded traditionalist. It's weird, okay? Yes, I'm very by the book. However, if something works for you, then it works, and that's the end of it. Like, if it works for you, then that's it, period. However, because I try to like teach like the quote-unquote like traditional or proper way, I figure people will adapt things anyways. I try to stick to the books, okay? But I mean, if you find meaning out of adding all the figures together, then why not? Why not add that numerology to your practice? However, all I'm saying is traditionally in geomancy, like that wasn't really a thing. Let's see here. I've got the Strength Tarot card in front of me right now. I love that. I love that image. What deck are you using? What deck are you using? I love it. It's like, you could also think of it being Virgo and Leo. Like if it's the woman with the mouth of the lion, if you want to look at it that way, you could also see it like Virgo, the Virgin, and the Leo, Virgo and Leo and Virgo together. There's so much to look at. Alchemical stuff like Mercury and sulfur. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do with the Strength card. Controlling our passions. Now, is she opening the mouth of the lion or is she closing it? That's a question. And what is the lion? That beast, that raw energy within us, that passion, that desire, that lion. Okay, it's interesting that like in the Lust card in the Thoth deck, it's the woman riding the beast and directing that force, as opposed to closing or opening the mouth of the lion. So what does this mean in the quote-unquote secret language of Western esotericism? But anyways, Rachel says, Soul Tribe. Heck yeah. I've been doing tarot since I was 18, but I feel like I've been grown beyond it, you know? I just find myself lately more interested in high magic of all kinds. Yep, I know what you mean, because I began with like tarot and like Golden Dawn and all this type, and Wicca and all this like mainstream and like crystals, and that's how I started in magic. But as I got deeper, I got more and more fascinated. And like the class, well, what were they doing in the 1500s? What were they doing in the 1600s? What about like a high magic ritual where you can like summon a spirit in your living room and talk to it face to face? Now that freaks people out. You're going to summon an entity into your living room and talk to it? That's pretty ballsy. Like people don't normally look in mirrors and talk to their gods and goddesses. That's a little dangerous. A little exciting, a little adrenaline rush, you know? I'm a little bit of a thrill seeker, I was, especially when I was young, a little bit of a thrill seeker, you know? People are like, well, that's too complicated. It's all in Latin. I don't need a sword that I need to write all these things, and it's too much work. But I like the work. I like that discipline. That's that Capricorn in me, that structure, that discipline, you know? I'm gonna push through, I'm gonna like fast and like do all the stuff and like go through all this, the elaborate, like put all this effort into this operation. I'm going to interact with an angel. Now, not everyone has that approach, okay? I'm going off on a rant, but basically I started off as like a new ager, and then I got more and more into like the classical stuff it just fascinates me. How did someone in 16th century wherever do an operation? It's fascinating to me. Now, I don't think one is better than the other, the modern or the classical, like whatever works, works. It is what it is. But I'm fascinated. And you don't hear a lot about it. You don't hear a lot about it. If you go to like your local occult circles, you'll see lots of like yoga and lots of Wicca. Lots of paganism and Wicca is pretty much what's out there. The majority of the esoteric crowd is like pagan or into like Eastern practices like yoga. Maybe they get into a little tarot and crystals. But you don't see a whole lot of people working with like classical magic. And that's what I want to encourage. I think it's amazing. Thank you for being on this journey with me, y'all. But yeah, I could relate. You said I've been doing tarot since you're 18, but now you've grown beyond it. Yeah. Okay, Justin Sledge. I'm reading the comments here. Justin Sledge has a channel on YouTube called Esoterica. I know about Esoterica. That's the Jewish guy with the yarmulke and the beard, and he's like an academic, right? Right? Or is that wrong? Esoterica. I know Esoterica, you know? I haven't watched a lot of his stuff, but I watched some of it, you know? I've watched his, like, the history of Elohim or Yahweh. I haven't watched a bunch. I've watched like 3, 4 of his videos, but I should like watch more because he's very informative. Noir, the head of the dragon. How do you spell the symbol's name? Okay, so head of the dragon. So the names of all the geomantic figures are in Latin. So Caput Draconis. Caput, C-A-P-U-T. C-A-P-U-T. Caput. Like kaput. Caput. C-A-P-U-T. Caput Draconis. D-R-A-C-O-N-I-S. So Caput, C-A-P-U-T, Caput Draconis, the head of the dragon. You could also just look up head of the dragon geomancy and you'll find it. Okay, I'm still reading the comments. There's a lot of them here. Okay. My question was, how long is it going to take to build my business? I got Via. How can I look at this as an answer? That's actually a good question. I'm actually not sure how to answer that properly. Like, how do you use Via to answer your question of time? You may have to do a little more. What I would do, at least at this level of geomantic practice, before you get into the advanced, what I would do is I would ask, will it be built up this year? And see what you get. Will it be built up next year, 3rd year, 4 year, 5 years? And also, like, build up a business is probably subjective. There's levels of that. There's layers, okay? What does it mean to have your business built up? In 6 months, it'll be built up more than it is now. Do you mean how long until it's like a thriving, like your in-goal business? Well, who knows? I mean, that could be 10 years. It could be who knows how long. So built up, I think you also need to be very, like, explicit with your question, like, how long until I reach this goal? Or how long, or will I reach this goal this year, or 2024, or 2025? That's how I would do it. I would turn it into a question by year per year, okay, and do, like, a projection that way, and try to extrapolate. I'm not really sure beyond that how to, but I would say Via is very direct. It's direct movement. To me, that sounds like pretty quickly. Like, think of Via as a road, okay? Think of it as a street, a road. It's a direct path. That sounds like there's not a whole lot of stopping or no. It's like, boom. So I would say that probably pretty quickly, Via. That's like movement and change and yeah. Probably pretty quickly. Okay. Haha, I can't help but notice the number symbology. The lion holds a rose in his mouth. That's beautiful. Beautiful deck. What's the name of the deck? While you're on here, what's the name of the deck? Ollie says, I'm not sure what deck. I'm new to tarot. She's holding the mouth of the lion. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, all things Enochian and Solomonic magic specifically. Yep. All right, y'all. So that's it for today. I read through all the comments. Tomorrow will be the last day of the week, and we're going to do this again. I get crossroads for mine. 2 choices and 2 pass. Interesting. Yeah. Why not have the best of both worlds? Get your cake and eat it too, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to close with that, y'all. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. As I said in my last videos, you know, I hope everyone brings positivity into their day, whatever you're going through. You could have the meanest landlady ever, you know, or a boss from whatever. Try to bring positivity into your life, you know. Whatever you're going through, try to make today positive. Try to use alchemy, turning lead into gold. Think of turning lead into gold. Okay, that's like the archetypal symbol of like the Western esoteric practice, the alchemist. Turning lead into gold. Think of turning the BS, all the bad stuff you don't like in your life, turn it into gold. Okay? Think of all the negativity in your life, things that you're dealing with. Think of that as the lead. Your goal as the alchemist, in your laboratory of life, you need to turn lead into gold. Okay, try to make the most out of your life, your day-to-day. I just like to end on a positive note, okay? Because positive energy is important, and bringing positive energy into things. And I teach occultism, but also if I can have whatever even if you're a clerk at a store, or you're making videos like me, whatever you're doing, I think we could all try to spread some positivity to others, give a positive message, try to have a good day, try to make the most of today, try to bring positive energy with whatever you're doing. That positive energy, think of it as like a flame within you. That light is carrying you. Try to keep that, bring that positive energy into whatever you're trying to do today. Okay, y'all? So that's it for today. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning, and tomorrow it'll be the last episode of the week. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great day, y'all. All right, and thank you. Thank you so much. Y'all are awesome. Oh, okay. See y'all next time. Bye, y'all. Have a great day.